Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MDs Baseball Podcast. Today is Monday, June 13th, 2022. It's our 29th episode. And as usual, guys, I just ask if you like what you hear, you like the Fantasy MDs, you subscribe on YouTube, give us a little rate and review on Apple and Spotify. It goes a long way to get and reach a little bit further here at the MDs. And with that being said, I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here with my co-host, my brother, Matthew Ane. Matt, how are we doing today?
Doing good after solving some internet issues.
Yes, right? We're here, we're rocking, we're ready to go.
Oh yeah.
What week is this, Matt? Week 10? Week 11? I'm losing track of weeks and times. I've had some difficulties today, so I'm a little bit off beat. You're going to have to help me out today.
I'll tell you, in week 10.
Week 10, damn. All right, so 10 weeks in the books here, people. And you know what? I'm having fun. I'm doing good in my leagues where it counts. I hope you guys are too, with a little help here from the MDs. And we're gonna start here with the finger on the pulse. Today, we felt like we wanted to talk about a couple sophomore pitchers, actually more than a couple sophomore pitchers that have had some differing results here, right? So I kind of, as Matt and I were talking about this, I found something interesting myself, right? So a couple names we're gonna highlight here, is the Mountain, Alek Manoah from the Toronto Blue Jays. He's just having a stellar sophomore year. And so is somebody else, same division actually in that AL East. That's Shane McClanahan of the Tampa Bay Rays, another guy that's just beasting out here. And let me throw some numbers at you guys before I get any further and get into the other names we're going to talk about. So for Alek Manoah specifically, in his sophomore year, he's had 11 starts. He had 7 wins, 1 loss, a 1.81 ERA, 69.2 innings, 61 Ks, and a 0.96 whip. And I mean, more than anybody could have wished, hoped, or asked for from Alek Manoah after that monster rookie year where he had the 3.22 ERA, 111 innings, 127 Ks, and the 104 whip. He just took what he did last year, built upon it, and I think it's the truth. He had a great career in the minors, and up before he got called up last year, was dominating the minors. And to me, it looks like he took a little bit step back from the strikeouts a little bit. And he said, "Hey, let me make sure that control's good, and let me make sure I'm not giving up a little bit of extra runs here." And I think, I mean, it's totally working out for the kid. Matt, any thoughts on Manoah here?
I mean, Manoah's ridiculous. I didn't think he was going to start off this hot. To be honest, I thought this probably would have been
Yeah.
more of a second half kind of type deal. Where we would have been like, okay, so year 3 is where that true breakout comes in. But I mean, shoot, you might see him on the Cy Young list.
24 years old, by the way. 24 years old.
It's bananas. He's kind of looking like Shane Bieber right now in his second year. It's unbelievable. I mean, to be honest, these sophomore pitchers, I feel like are just insane. I mean, shoot, ugh, it's mind blowing. I'm mad I don't have a share of him, honestly.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm mad as well after I picked him up and had him in most of my, I would say about 90% of my leagues last year. I had Alek Manoah. I made sure I got him as soon as he was called up, and I stashed him in a few other leagues. And you know what? It's such a tough division in that AL East, right? So it was crazy to see him do what he did last year, and it's even more wild to see him do what he's doing this year against teams like the Yankees and those other great teams in that division. And with that being said, let's talk about another AL East sophomore pitcher, and that's Shane McClanahan, Shane the Train. He's just been, built off of what he did last year as well. And I mean, his numbers look almost identical, if not even a little bit better than Manoah's here, especially with that strikeout rate being a bit higher. So for Shane McClanahan this year, he's had 12 starts, 7 wins, 2 losses, a 1.87 ERA, 72 innings, 98 strikeouts. So forgive me once again, that's a big strikeout. I think that's a huge strikeout rate, and an 0.857 whip. So I mean, the kid's just legit. He figured out that control because last year he had that 1.27 whip over 123 innings with 141 strikeouts and a 3.43 ERA for Shane McClanahan last year. Once again, just I think it's a tough division in that AL East, and they kind of if you come up and you dominate like that and just keep doing that thing in a division like that, it really shows that you're the truth and that talent's just overriding some really good bats. And I think these guys are here to stay. I'll be honest. I see Shane McClanahan as like a top 15 arm, if not even a little bit higher than that at the moment. Manoah's probably a little bit lower, top 25 guy, edging into that top 20 area. But if McClanahan at 25 years old is doing this, I can't wait to see what they got, with him and hopefully Tyler Glasnow next year.
Oh man, that rotation is just ridiculous when you bring his name into it.
Yeah, right.
Tampa Bay just knows what they're doing. It's absolutely ridiculous. They just know how to not pay a single dime, and then just have the most ridiculous everything. But
Yeah, yeah.
McClanahan is just stellar. He's another one. I had him ranked, pretty high for a sophomore pitcher. I had him in my top 40, and coming into the year, and now for him to be like the number 5 overall fantasy player,
It's just crazy.
like he has a good shot at Cy Young.
Yeah,
Whoever drafted him, you did a really good job. I only ended up getting one share of him because people were super high on him, higher than I was, and I thought I was high. So that
yeah, yeah.
I feel like the industry was high on him, and we all kind of hit right. To be honest, dynasty leagues, you got him.
Yeah, yeah, you're cashing out right now on McClanahan. I mean, not like actually cashing out, but like you're just sitting with the money right now and just like raining it. So moving on from two great sophomore pitchers, we're gonna go into a little bit more a weary note here with two sophomore pitchers that haven't had such the great results, and that's going to be Mr. Ian Anderson of the Atlanta Braves and Mr. Trevor Rogers of the Miami Marlins, right? So now, as we're talking about this, I just took note myself, as I hope most of the people would. It's two AL pitchers that are just sophomore pitchers dominating, two NL sophomore pitchers getting hit a little bit harder, right? Now, I can't say anything for sure here, but in my eyes, it kind of seems like maybe that DH is doing a little bit of something here. Last year you get some easy outs with that 9 hole, and just getting the pitcher out when you easy out. Now you're bringing in guys like some power bats, some average guys that really know what they're doing behind the plate that aren't pitchers. And it's just kind of maybe things aren't working out for them in that situation. But let's start with Ian Anderson here, and I'll pull up some stats. He's somebody that I think we've talked about maybe once before here on the podcast, and I kind of just told everybody I'm not a huge fan of the guy. As I did my deeper dive last year, I mean, coming into this year with his numbers last year, you see that 3.58 ERA isn't amazing. It's good, but it's not amazing. 128 innings for Ian Anderson last year, only 124 strikeouts, so not a K per nine guy. And then it's a 1.23 WHIP, right? And that's once again across 128 innings for Ian Anderson last year. And to me, it's just like, okay, I had him like, top 30, 40 range, and I kind of pushed him down to like 60th. And it was just the reason I didn't really see the numbers that I like to see. And it was a 4.12 FIP, once again, just like to bring that up just to give you guys an ERA indicator there of what he would do with, like, if he didn't have a great defense behind him, right? And it's just like, all right, move him down. And then this year you see a 4.53 ERA, a little bit closer to that FIP. He's got 11 starts, 59 innings, only 50 strikeouts. Once again, way below that K per nine. And then it's a 1.39 WHIP. Do I think he's better than those numbers? Yeah, a little bit, but not by much. I mean, I'll be honest. With Ian Anderson, I'm trying to sell if I can right now. And I mean, if you got to drop him in those shallower leagues, I wouldn't be mad at you for that one. My brother, what's your thoughts here on Mr. Anderson?
I mean, to be completely honest, he's somebody I didn't end up with this year either. But
Yeah,
I
faded him
didn't
big time.
I didn't say I hate him. I had him in my top
Oh no,
40.
no, I say I faded him. I faded him. I
Oh,
faded
okay.
him this year.
I actually thought he was going to kind of repeat what he did last year. That 3.5 ERA, the strikeouts be about a K per nine, maybe a little bit under, and the WHIP being on that higher side because that WHIP is high. But I mean, to be honest, for him to outright fall out from the bottom, I think that it's a little outrageous. I do think he starts trending in the right direction, starts kind of, you know, fixing himself somewhat soon. There is a lane for that. I mean, don't hold what I'm saying with
Yeah,
much weight because I don't really know what's going on in the guy's head. But one thing I will say is if you see it in the year prior, I mean that talent just doesn't go away. I think the league is adjusted now. He's got to figure out a way to adjust back. It could be a simple pitch mix thing. It could be a simple they tried to play with a launch angle or something like that. I mean, that held Lucas Giolito down for 2 years. So let's see. I mean, teams like to play and critique their players, and then it ends up sometimes being a negative reaction instead of a positive. So let's see if they say, all right, go back to what you were doing, or he figures out how to mix things up a little bit. I'm not dropping him. I'm holding him. I'm not starting him though, unless it's a good matchup like in Arizona or something. Um, but he's somebody that you probably invested somewhat of a decent pick into. So I wouldn't. It's not an outright drop for me yet.
Yeah. Once again, I'm agreeing on the sense it's not an outright drop, but I mean, in those shallower leagues, your tens and those just leagues with not crazy deep benches. If you stacked up with injuries and you just kind of really need to make a push here at this point in time. I could see it. I could see, cutting bait. But once again, he does have some talent there. So you might want to wait till that All-Star break. Maybe at the All-Star break, as Matt said, they sit with him and they kind of, look at the tape from this year and see, hey, this is what's going wrong for you, and they try and work on that. But once again, I'm not, holding my breath on that one. So once again, we got one more, guy that's in a little bit of a sophomore slump here, and that's Mr. Trevor Rogers, another guy that we've spoken about on this podcast before. But man, he's still hasn't really figured it out yet this year. And after that breakout last year, I think he came in second in the NL Rookie of the Year voting. Yes, he did, behind Jonathan India. And I mean, I'll read you those numbers from last year from Trevor Rogers. He was just an absolute monster on a bad team though. So it was 7 wins, 8 losses across 25 starts. 2.64 ERA, 133 innings, 157 strikeouts, and a 1.15 WHIP. Right, so he absolutely killed it last year. But now, do want to preface this. He did actually, in that 2020 COVID season, he did get 7 starts. Right, I don't know if a lot of people know this or look at this anyway. With 7 starts for him in 2020, Trevor Rogers, 6.11 ERA. 28 innings, 39 Ks, and a 1.60 WHIP, right? So looks like he figured something out into that from that rookie year to sophomore year. It wasn't, 28 innings of a, not really rookie year, but 28 innings there. And now this year again, looks like he's diverted back to similar numbers from that 2020 season. So Trevor Rogers this year is 5.58 ERA and across 11 starts, 3 wins, 5 losses, 50 innings, 44 strikeouts, and a 1.54 WHIP. Right now, we all know the kid's talented and stuff, but it's just looking really grim right now for the kid at the moment. The FIP isn't even good. It's a 4.84 FIP, so there's room for improvement, but I don't know if we're going to see the Trevor Rogers of last year again. Once again, guys, at the moment, I'm probably looking to sell. If you could sell the name, I mean, I kind of said this last time. Once again, like Ian Anderson, if you could do it, go for it at the moment. If not, once again, kind of in the same sense of Ian Anderson, if it's getting to the point where you're missing out on the hot pickups and, it's not going to get any better. There's not going to be a lot more big names like there's been earlier. We're getting to the point in the year where it just gets a little bit harder every week to, make these moves. And he's somebody that I've cut bait with in shallower leagues. And I mean, I would advise if you kind of got a hot pickup out there, or if just wouldn't be afraid to drop him at the moment if you have to.
I mean, hey, I'm one of those people that bought. I do think that he's going to bounce back. I said maybe last week that it's looking like a Jack Flaherty sophomore year, where he had an atrocious first half, and the second half he came out lightning. It's one of those things too where if you look at his starts, he gets lit up in 1 inning, and that's all it takes. And it's usually like his last couple. So it's either maybe an endurance thing, maybe he's playing a little hurt and he's getting a little sore, because it's usually like, okay, I'm 5 or 6 innings deep and I've thrown one too many pitches, and boom, he gets lit up. So, but he is getting like 5, 8, at least a K per 9 every single outing. And then he shows a couple of glimpses of greatness where it's like, okay, I have a low ERA and it's just all over the place. So something's just not right there. So I mean, I'm not making up excuses. I mean, hey, you could drop him at this point if you feel like, hey, you need to move on, or sell him and package him in a deal and see what you can get. Maybe there's a guy like me that will buy. But at this point, for me, I'm just like, hey, I think he's going to bounce back and be that second half MVP for me.
Hey, well, fair enough, my brother. I mean, it's just tough to call, once again, guys like, Trevor Rogers and Ian Anderson at like 24, 25 years old, done, because I don't think they're done.
Not even
But
relatively
yeah,
close.
yeah, but it's just it's tough at this point in the year, and especially in like redraft leagues, non-keeper leagues, to hold these guys where, in keeper and dynasty, it's a little bit easier, where you could see a future with them. But in just a 1 year league, man, it's really hard to hold on to these guys when you're missing out on, hot pickups. And if you're in the bottom half of your standings, it's really hard to do these types of things and, be successful, in my opinion, anyway. So with that being said here, we're going to move on to some news and notes. Matt, my brother, this as always, feel free to interrupt me in my super fast New York talking here if you need to say anything. So we're going to start off with Mr. Chris Bryant, one of my favorite players in the league. Looks like he's close to, ramping things up from that back injury. I would say, I don't think they set a date on that, but of his return, but look forward to it. I think it should be maybe within the next 2-3 weeks here, if he could get swinging that bat, and running those bases, without any injury or anything like that. Then Matt, you texted me this one, and I did see it, and I laughed real quick. Steven Strasburg back on the IL, and they even said they don't discomfort, but they didn't disclose where the discomfort is, so that just makes me super nervous. The guy is more fragile. Man. Yeah, he's got the worst phalanges in baseball. Him and Mondesi, need to see have a contest there to see who's the worst. But he's got a body like a gingerbread man, Mr. Steven Strasburg. So next up, we got Walker Buehler. He got a flexor strain. He's not going to throw for 6 to 8 weeks. That's absolutely devastating for the Dodgers. Back. And yeah, I don't know about that. He's a young pitcher. They're going to take their time with him. They have a lot of other options in the minors. They got Mr. Ryan Pepio. They got Andrew Heaney. Actually, I'll say that real quick now. He's supposed to have a rehab start tomorrow, and the last one he threw 4 scoreless, so he could be back sooner than later for them as well. So Walker Buehler, guys, I mean, in 1 year leagues, if you are buried with injuries right now, and you have 7 guys on the IL and you only got 2-3 spots, I mean, I guess you could cut them. But in most leagues, I kind of would want to sit tight and just kind of see where this thing goes, especially obviously in Keepers in Dynasty. He ain't going nowhere. Just kind of wait it out. It's going to be tough, but Walker Buehler, when he's healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
I wouldn't drop him. I would sell him. I'd go.
There you go. Fair enough.
I would go to the first place team, and I go, hey,
smart. Actually, yeah, I like that.
And try and scoop up something, like, hey, let me dump off him and package him. They're gonna think they're getting a deal. Walker Buehler's gonna be back. They're gonna win a championship. But little they know that, when I start hearing news of, what was it, forearm tightness?
The flexor strain. So I mean,
no, it says forearm right here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Fair enough.
And a flexor. Yeah. So it's weird.
Yeah, he's all banged up.
Way to go, Yahoo. Anyway, it's just one of those things where, like, I'm not too confident, especially since they're going to have 100 wins by the time he's even eligible to come back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just don't really see much going on with them here.
So they're probably not smart enough to listen to us anyway, since they think they're doing so good. So, trade him away and, get something for him. He's definitely not a drop, and you could get a decent name just because of his name.
Yeah, he is a huge name, so you definitely want to go out there and shop Walker Buehler at the moment. Then we got Mr. Wander Franco. He's ramping things back up from that quad injury. Once again, probably about a 2 weeks away, in my opinion. Then we got Matt Chapman. He's missed the last 3 games with that wrist injury. Keep an eye on him. Might be headed for an IL stint, might not, but just keep an eye out. Then we got Michael Kopech. Thankfully, that knee injury wasn't too bad. He got some fluid removed, and they're saying that he could possibly start this Sunday. That's good to see. Then we got Chris Sale. He threw batting practice today, and he was supposedly hitting 96. They're saying he's not too far away from a minor league assignment. But what I did hear want to throw out this caveat that they said they might bring him back in the bullpen at first to get him stretched out. So he might be throwing like 3-4 innings out of the bullpen for a couple weeks. Then you can see him back into that starting role as normal. I still think when Chris Sale is, starting, he's top 15 pitcher in baseball, hands down. Just look at Justin Verlander and Clayton Kershaw this year. They're both when they're healthy, they're both doing pretty well this year.
Trade him in the draft.
Fair enough. I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to say he's a hold, and I would actually do the opposite and trade for him. I just think he's that guy, So, Matt, how are you going to agree to disagree there on Mr. Chris Sale? Then we got Mike Clevenger, who sadly cannot catch a break here. He's on the COVID IL now. I mean, one of the premier pitchers in baseball when he's healthy as well. Then we got Liam Hendricks day to day with stiffness in his arm. You don't like to see that. I would definitely keep an eye on him here and just yeah. Matt, is that the haterade in the cup? Matt,
Yeah.
I think it's coming back, man. I,
In a
I
few
don't
weeks.
think I think Matt's just busting your chops, guys. There, I don't think we're going out and we're dropping Liam Hendricks yet.
I'm just being.
But just keep an eye out there if things do go bad, because you never want to hear anything with the arm, especially in a pitcher. Then we got Aroldis Chapman, New York Yankees. He's supposed to be coming back. I think he's throwing that bullpen session tomorrow. He said he's feeling pain free from that Achilles. And I mean, once again, Matt, as you said, I don't think the Yankees are out here listening to the fantasy MDs, but they should be, because I'm leaving Clay Holmes alone in that closer role, man. He's lights out. I got to give credit to my pops who called Clay Holmes being the guy that he is right now. My dad, as soon as they traded for me, I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy. And I'm like, really, Clay Holmes? And man, he's the guy, and I would not touch him. Put Chapman in like the 7th at first, see how things go. And if he got that gas back and he's looking right, maybe you bring him back to the 8th and he starts competing with Clay for saves. But otherwise, you leave Mr. Clay Holmes in the save situations.
They should just trade him, honestly.
Yeah, they probably should, to be honest.
I mean, he's old enough, he's been hurt enough, and
somebody will take him.
Just
don't give him to the Dodgers. That's
exactly. But he's terrible in the playoffs too. So like, it's just like, okay, I don't even want you.
Yeah, like, he's getting old there. He's getting old.
And he blew a World Series chances 2 years ago. I just don't like him no more.
Forget about it. But Matt, we got some good news here, especially for you. I know you're a fan of this guy this year. You got a couple shares. That's Mr. Lance Lynn, Chicago White Sox. He's back today, starting against the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
I know you might not be hearing this. Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, he's just getting back, but he's gonna do his thing when he's got a couple more starts under his belt, right? So I'm not too really worried about Lance Lynn. I don't think anybody should be. So once again, I know you're hearing this a little bit late, but you want to make sure he's active there for his next start. Then we got another one of your boys, Matt, Mr. Corey Knebel, which I'm not as positive about as Lance Lynn here. He's day to day with that sore shoulder. He was able to play catch today though, which is a good sign. But I do want to keep an eye out on him there. And I know you're not a fan of this guy, but he does have good numbers this year. Just keep an eye on Mr. Sir Anthony Dominguez there in that Phillies bullpen, because I think he might be the next man up if there's anything wrong with Knebel.
He's a pile of garbage. like legitimately a pile of
the
garbage.
Haterade is strong this week, Matt.
Oh my
it's
God.
Strong.
I was totally kidding about Hendricks, but Dominguez is probably hands down the worst closer in all of baseball.
Oh Lord! All right, guys. So maybe not, but just keep your eyes out on that Phillies bullpen. Keep your eyes on Knebel to see if that a shoulder injury clears up or not. Then we got another guy who's actually stepped up this year, who's going down with an injury. That's Garrett Whitlock of the Boston Red Sox. He's headed to the IL with the hip impingement. Jacob deGrom, we have not seen anything from him yet this year, but he threw his 3rd bullpen session of the year Saturday. Not really a timetable. I'd say after the All-Star break, you could start hoping that he'll be back, but until then, just got to kind of grin teeth and bear it with Mr. deGrom.
Yep.
Matt, one of your boys is I don't know how this is looking. Mr. Brandon Woodruff, he's feeling numbness in 3 fingers on his throwing hand, and they diagnosed him with something called Raynaud syndrome. I'm not super familiar with it or anything like that.
I do. I am. So
go ahead. Yeah. The only thing I know real quick is I know that they said Josh Beckett had this, and it kind of after his career started to go downhill. But you don't really want to hear kind of news like that for Woodruff. Matt, but you go ahead. I know you said you're a little bit more familiar with this than I.
So what Raynaud's is essentially you have poor circulation to the fingertips, which then leaves you feeling cold, sometimes numb. Which obviously for a pitcher that isn't good, because you need to feel it for the grip so you can get that right grip on the ball so you can release it. It isn't a great sign, but I mean, at the same time, it is something that can be corrected, but there is no medicine or something that can that's a quick fix. Essentially, you just kind of got to pass.
Yeah, sounds like it's kind of going to linger then, huh?
It could for this year. I mean, it would make a lot of sense as to why he's pitching like absolute doo doo.
Yeah, maybe he was trying, big time athlete, especially a stud like Woodruff. Maybe he was just trying to power through it.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
at this point, like, there's nothing physically wrong with him in terms of like his body, his ankles all healed up, which was the reason why he was on the IL.
Yes, sir. I did see that as well. Good thing you brought that up.
But it's just now it's his Raynoids, so it's either he's going to have to find a way to play through it and kind of either look at his hand for the pitch or just start fighting through it. There's something. I mean, to be honest, my wife my wife gets it. Very rarely. It's like getting the case of the phalanges, I guess. But it's one of those things where I guess we'll just see more of an up and down from him than the stellarness until that kind of figures itself out, if it does at all.
Yeah, guys, that's something you definitely want to like keep your eyes on as far as news and notes with especially if you're a Brandon Woodruff owner. Just keep an eye on how he says he's feeling, and I'm sure he'll update us on how this ends up working out for him. We know that we wish him the best over here on the Fantasy MDs. But you don't like to hear something random like that. That just kind of just messes up your vibes. But got the last one here. Tim Anderson's supposed to start his rehab assignment tomorrow. They're saying that he's going to need maybe a week down there, maybe a little bit less depending on how he looks. So, get him back in your lineups when he's healthy. Just keep an eye out for that when he's activated. So from there, we're going to move on to the infamous Fantasy MD's waiver wire segment. As we just mentioned, there's a lot of hurt guys, going into this week here, and we got a bunch of good names for you here, I think, this week. And I think we've been hitting at a pretty good percentage so far this year, my brother, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we'll start off with somebody that I would say this is a great we actually didn't mention here, and I totally forgot. I'm thinking of it now. Tyler Stevenson's out for I think it was 3 to 5 weeks, I believe, and this is a great replacement for him. If you had Tyler Stevenson, Gabriel Moreno, he's the number 4 prospect in all of baseball for he's number 4 in all of baseball, but he's the number 1 for the Toronto Blue Jays. Danny Jensen went down with an injury there. And looks like he's gonna, kind of split time with Alejandro Kirk, and maybe they're both DH on days, and like I said, split catcher duties. But man, this kid looks like he's the real deal. Not a lot of power in the bat, but he's he's a batting average guy. He's only 22 years old. So far in the minors, this year, let's give you his stats from this year in the minors. He hit 324. He had 3 steals, 23 RBIs, 1 home run, 8 doubles, 44 hits, 18 runs, and 136 at bats across 36 games. The year before that, in 2021, he had 367. In 2019, he had 280, and in 2018, he had 359. So, I mean, kind of just always been a little bit of a batting average guy. Not going to expect too much from him here, but he is the number 4 prospect in all of baseball. So, if you need help at that catcher position, if you missed out on Alejandro Kirk and all the other guys that we mentioned, if you missed out on MJ Melendez, he's definitely a name that you can go out there and snag. I'm going to pull up his ownership for you right now. Just bear with me as I move around on my computer. He's 27% owned on Yahoo. Once again, Gabriel Moreno, catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's an ad right now for me. Once again, if you lost Tyler Stevenson, hey, take a shot.
Yep. I mean, to be honest, this is how I'm looking at it. He's not going to get even relatively close to everyday playing time since he's going to be behind Alejandro Kirk.
Well, they said that. Well, let me say this. They did say that he is going to play more often than not because Danny Jensen's down and Kirk was doing a lot of the DHing. So I could see him and Moreno pretty much, splitting time there at DH and catcher, with both of them playing on more days than not.
Well, yeah, but I just don't think Moreno is going to get the DHing, so he'll get the day off, whereas Alejandro Kirk is going to, catch every day, whereas Moreno probably, when he's not catching, is going to be on the bench.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, you'll probably, I mean, he's definitely worth an ad to see what's going on, depending on, what your catcher situation. It's not like catcher's a great position to have. So he's definitely worth the speculative, but I'm not sitting here counting him out. He's like the solution. And quite honestly, too, he hasn't really done anything except what's his stats look like right now, honestly.
He's only played 2 games, and he's 1 for 7 across 2 games. So,
exactly.
I mean, it's only 2 games. So, I mean, not really going to put too much into that yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like I said, it's more of a speculative ad, especially with catchers. Yeah. It's one of those things where he's just, the big sexy name up there. But I think we're good on him. Sorry for
Yeah.
having so much haterade today, guys. But
No, no, you're good. You're good.
let's talk about our next guy here, Matt Carpenter. Didn't even realize he went to the New York Yankees. But
Oh, geez, Matt, you've been that busy, huh, my brother?
dude, it's called a move in a 9-month-old.
Yeah, no, I know, but he's been
He's been
raking,
raking.
my lord, raking.
He came back in like in fine fashion, I'd say here, because he only has 24 at bats, which is fantastic for his stats right now. I'm actually blown away. So he has 10 runs, 6 bombs, 13 ribbies and bat, and 333 on the year. This looks like old Matt Carpenter. I wonder if he's putting the needle in the booty. You know, I mean, I understand there's a short course there, but geez, but he's killing it. He's definitely worth an ad. And you know what? There's something to say about him is he's old reliable. He's up there in age, but he's always had something. And you can see with a couple of these older guys, they're starting to bounce back, or at least show you a little something that, hey, I still got it. So, let's see what's going on here and take a shot on him at 9% owned. And he
Yeah,
has
well,
second base eligibility and first.
yeah, I mean, I'll say this about our boy Matt Carpenter. At 36 years old, I mean, you want to talk about somebody who's not going to play every day? I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to play every day. But I mean, when he's playing, man, when he's playing, yesterday, he went 3 for 4, 3 runs, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. I mean, and then the last time he played before that was well, a full
June
game
3rd.
was June 3rd, 2 for 3, 2 runs, a bomb, 2 ribbies. The day before that, hit a bomb. So I'll say this. I mean, if you're in a deep league, if you're in a 15 or, even
NFBC.
yeah, or even one of those 12-man leagues, right? You got to try and maybe find a spot at the end of your bench. Like Matt said, first and second eligible on Yahoo. Matt Carpenter, the new New York Yankee, 9% owned. I mean, I want that Yankees to give him a little bit more playing time, but he is older. I don't think if you play him every day, you're going to get these kinds of results. So I think the reason you're getting the results you are because when he's fresh when he's out there and he's putting his all into those at bats, and he's making the most of it. Once again, 6 bombs, 13 RBIs, batting 333 in limited plate appearances for Mr. Matt Carpenter. He's kind of like an ad once again in those deeper leagues, and maybe you add him just to see where this thing goes with the kid, maybe the old man rather, and
Who
yeah,
knows? Who knows? Maybe
yeah,
the
who knows?
Yankees will smarten up and get rid of Glaber and LeMahieu and call it a day.
Oof, damn, Matt, that hater is strong. Glaber's been on fire, brother. He's been killing it. But with a lot of New York
Uh,
Yankees talk today. Let's get into our next guy here for the waiver wire, and that's Josh Rojas. Man, another guy who's just been heating up lately. I know I was playing the team that had him last week, and he did pretty good. And get this, on Yahoo, he's Josh Rojas of the Arizona Diamondbacks is eligible at second base, third base, shortstop, and outfield. 40% owned, so he's a little bit more highly owned there. But on the year, again, Josh Rojas, 19 runs, 4 bombs, 16 RBIs, 3 steals, and he's hitting 284. Once again, he's on a little hitting streak here too. Looks like a 5-game hitting streak here for him. He's been hitting second or third most days for the Diamondbacks. I know they're not the best team, but he's getting you plate appearances, which means he's probably going to get those runs, or regardless, on more days than not. And like I said, little steals, a little power. You could totally do worse at a guy who's got 4 position multi eligibility on Yahoo.
yeah, talk about a Swiss Army knife. Well,
Yeah, right.
he has
Well said.
all the upside of Scott Kingery, I guess. Um, I guess
Scott Kingery. Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah, I know. You know what?
Scooter Jeanette.
Yeah, all right. Jesus, you're gonna need a whole comment card just to read off every position he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for RP to show up. But yeah, I mean, he's doing good. He's one of those guys you ride the wave, and you fill slots as you need them.
Yeah.
He
Real
ain't
quick,
nothing
I do. I,
special.
I just want to point out last year. I did pull up stats from last year. He had 11 home runs and 9 steals at 264 last year as well. So he's shown that he can do this type of thing, And I mean, a guy that's going to give you almost a double double with a positive batting average, you could totally do worse.
Yeah. You want to talk about our next guy here, sir?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with our last bat of the waiver wire segment, and that's going to be Luis Garcia, and that is not Luis Garcia, the pitcher of the Houston Astros. That's Luis Garcia, the hitter from the Washington Nationals, and I know he had got a lot of hype in the industry, coming into the year. I personally didn't know too much about him, and I was too fixated on the other Luis Garcia to do my research on this one. So once again, that's Luis Garcia, Washington Nationals, second baseman and shortstop. So far this year, in only 11 games, it's 43 at bats, but man, 4 runs, 16 hits, 2 doubles, a home run, 7 RBIs, no steals, but he's hitting 372, right? And I mean, 22 years old, highly touted prospect. I would say you go out there and you give the kid a shot. Gonna pull up his ownership here on Yahoo.
100%.
There we go, my brother. You got anything to say about the kid, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Again, second base. I guess maybe we'll have a resurgence next year for draft season with all these second basemen coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah,
It's exciting. You know what? He's interesting. I'm not going to say like, oh my God, rush to go get him, but the fact that he's at 43 at bats, he's hitting 372 on the year, and he's somewhat helping with Juan Soto.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to say go for it. But I mean, again, you don't have to run out there. If you're hurting,
yeah, yeah.
deeper league or or a league where you have like 19 million bench spots like we do, you know, he's definitely worth it. Dynasty, I mean, obviously you probably either already drafted him if he's sitting out there, scoop him up. So
Yeah, he's been hitting towards the bottom of the lineup too, but I mean he's got a lot of 2 for 4s, 3 for 4s here recently. So definitely worth the shot, as Matt said, in deeper leagues. So let's move into the starting pitchers here, and you down Walker Bueller, even another guy we forgot in the news and notes, Mr. Casey Mize with the Tommy John. I know Strasburg back on the IL. There's just Kopech with the little Clevenger with the little so, you're hurting for starting pitchers right now. We got a couple of names here for you that are interesting. One that you definitely heard of if you've been playing fantasy, John Gray. Once again, you probably heard of this guy. But now he's with the Texas Rangers, and it looks like he's starting to do what everyone thought he was going to do when he came over here. Had a tough little adjustment period, but there's a couple of lights of hope here in his last 2 out of 3 starts, right? So the last start for John Gray was at the Chicago White Sox yesterday. 6 innings, 10 Ks, 1.50 ERA, and a 1 WHIP. He had a little stinker in Cleveland, last time out before that. But on June 1st, John Gray, 7 innings, 12 Ks, 1.29 ERA, and a 0.71 WHIP, right? Now, if we're just talking about, 2 out of the last 3, look pretty good there. He gets Detroit this week on the 17th. So once again, we just try and throw names out there that have been hot and have good matchups for you. So 29% owned on Yahoo. I absolutely think he's worth the shot this week. And I think he's somebody that maybe in the second half could absolutely flourish, in my opinion. So definitely probably one of the higher end guys that we've even spoken about within the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks, because those names that starting pitcher start to get a little bit shakier as these weeks go along, my brother.
yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I mean, John Gray was somebody I really thought was going to have a better year. But at the same time, you guys probably tired of hearing me say this, but players that are on a new team in the first year of their contract are usually a little bit of an adjustment period. So I mean, it's the fact that we're seeing 10K games, 12K games with the ERA to boot is good signs. I'm not saying he's going to start, coming lights out starting today, but what I will say is that second half there may be a little click for him, and things might come on. He's finally found the favorite food spot around the corner, which you're in Texas, you're gonna find good barbecue. But anyway, it's just one of those things where I think he might settle in on his own there, and I'm very excited to see what happens. He's definitely worth an ad at least for this week. You probably can see at least hold him on your bench for a little bit and see what his matchups look like. And you need to drop him, then you drop him. It is what it is. But this week, I think is going to be a great start for him.
Yeah, once again, he's got Detroit this week, guys. Matt and I are literally in sync because we said the same exact thing here. I think John Gray has a big second half in store for us, and now's the time to add him, because you know what? If he goes out there against Detroit this week and strikes out another 10, he's going to go from 29% owned on Yahoo to like over 70. So I think now is the time to do it if you want your piece of John Gray.
Oh
Matt,
yeah.
and who do you want to talk about next, my brother?
I'm going to talk about Alex Fayado.
That you nailed it. That's the name.
Oh, okay. Fayado. All right. Sorry, I had to get that out there so I don't mess it up again. But he's killing it so far. I mean, the kid's on the Detroit Tiger about 10% owned, and this is a quality pickup, truthfully. I mean, shoot, he might get picked up by tonight. So, you know, 37 innings, 28 Ks, 2.9 ERA, and a 1.24 WHIP, which is a little bit on the higher side than I like, but it is what it is when you got those kind of K numbers. He just sounds like somebody that's trying to strike out everybody under the sun. He got 1 W. He's on Detroit, so you're not going to see much from him in that aspect. But I mean, hey, if you're able to pick somebody up and they're doing this kind of stuff, you should be pretty happy because I mean, his last start was 7 Ks at 5 innings. His start before that was 5-5. So maybe we're going to start seeing a trend where he's going to start becoming a K per nine guy. And he's a home run for you. I don't know if the ERA stays as low, but I mean, shoot, I'm adding him.
Yeah, I'll say this about Mr. Alex Fado there. Numbers look pretty impressive so far in the bigs. I mean, like Matt said, he's got that low ERA. He's not quite the strikeout per inning guy as you would hope. As we said, 37 innings, only 28 Ks. But this is an interesting thing, and I'm just seeing this now as I'm looking here. Right, 26 years old. But before this year, and including the minors, the last time that he pitched was in 2019. So it looks like he lost his 2020 and 2021. I'm not exactly sure why. It looks like to me, if you had to ask, it looks like Tommy John or a big injury. But so he hasn't really had that time to develop since he was 23. So now at 26, you're kind of starting to see like, oh, this kid might have something here, maybe in the mold of a Kyle Hendricks with a little bit worse control because that whip's a little bit high. And, I mean, good ERA, low strikeouts. Detroit kind of needs somebody else to step up there, with Mize out and Matt Manning looking like he's not returning anytime soon either. So just
Wrestling.
leaving a Tarek Skubal out in the cold there. So looks like this kid could be the truth. It looks very interesting to me, as Matt said. Only 10% owned on Yahoo. Not rushing out to grab him. I like John Gray a little bit more if you can get John Gray. But this kid's got a nice little something. There's something there with him. He's got pretty good stuff too. I believe I saw one of his outings this year, and he looked pretty good. As Matt said, the last two outings, the K per nine's coming up. So and then who did he have this week? I knew he had somebody good. The White Sox, right? The White Sox are looking a little bit better with Abreu and Robert heating up, but without Eloy, it's still a lineup you can without Eloy and Tim Anderson, it's a lineup you can kind of work your way around a little bit. So definitely worth the ad for at least this week. So next, let's talk about somebody I just keep bringing up, man, and I just keep bringing him up because I'm a huge fan, kind of lifelong fan to be honest. That's Corey Kluber, right? And still only 55% owned on Yahoo. Guys, what are we doing here? 55 innings, 51 Ks, 3 wins, 3.88 ERA, and a 1.15 WHIP. I mean, pretty solid numbers if you're asking me. I know he gets the Yankees tomorrow when you're hearing this, probably today. But I mean, next week it looks like he's lined up for the Orioles. So even if he goes out there and he throws a stinker against the Yankees, former team, by the way, maybe he knows a thing or two on how to get some of these guys out playing with the team, previously. But I think definitely for at least next week, take a chance on Corey Kluber. Guys, he should be way more owned than 55% on Yahoo. My brother, any thoughts on Mr. Corey Kluber?
Kluber's Kluber, man. He's always somebody that's been reliable this year, somebody that you can kind of count on here and there. He definitely earned himself a drop, but he's definitely been one of those guys that we've probably been dropping and picking up pretty frequently throughout the year. It's pretty exciting. I like him a lot. He's always had good stuff, but
yeah, I like how Tampa's managing him too. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, they're not really like putting him in a situation he can't be successful in, which is a really good sign. And you know what? When a pitcher's well managed, you don't end up with him getting blown up and throwing one too many pitches. So that's really great. That's all I really got to say on him. We've kind of talked about him about 8,000
Yeah,
times.
we talked about him a lot. So our last starting pitcher here is Mr. Taijuan Walker of the New York Mets. And I mean, he went out yesterday, 6 innings, got the win against the Los Angeles Angels, struck out 10 with a 1.50 ERA and a 1.17 WHIP. Right now, he's a guy who I'm not necessarily once again rushing to the waiver wire to add. 33% owned on Yahoo, but he does get the Miami Marlins this week. And they really only have Jazz and Jesus Sanchez, and I guess Jesus Aguilar on some nights. But he's worth the shot in my opinion. He might go out there and throw you a nice little another good strikeout game. He might go out there and get hit for 4 runs. I'm just saying he's an option. You could take the shot on him this week. Probably the bottom of the barrel of the bunch, in my opinion, of all the names that we've mentioned today as far as starting pitchers go. But I would start him this week if I had to against Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair ad only because he's playing Miami.
Yeah,
To be honest, he's not really that pitcher of his heyday when he was with Seattle.
yeah,
To be honest, that 10K strikeout game yesterday was a fluke, to be completely honest. He hasn't
yeah,
he hasn't been like a K per nine guy. I mean, he had a game 5 innings against Philadelphia with 1K.
yeah.
Um, he just hasn't been that
He's
guy.
had a couple. He's had a couple of those this year. A couple 1Kers.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
isn't a great sign, but I mean he's on a really good team. The Mets are actually killing it this year. Pains me to say, but at least there'll be less suicides in New York this year. But
yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
it's one of those things where they stand a good chance to win. If you're down, wins going into Sunday, I believe is when he gets them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you're going into Sunday, if you're like, okay, I need to see if I can get a W, he's probably one of those guys that are probably a good chance of getting the W, as long as he's able to keep himself in the game and doesn't get in his own way.
Yeah, yeah. So, guys, once again, that's Taiwan Walker of the New York Mets, 33% owned on Yahoo. You could give him a shot this weekend against Miami. We actually got a couple of good closers here for this week. I know closers have been tough over the past few weeks, but we got a couple of interesting ones here for you. So I'm going to start with in my opinion, probably the most interesting. I don't know if he's the best, but he's the most interesting. That's Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox, right? And I think for like the last, I'd say 3 to 4 years, the Red Sox have been really trying to find the guy that's going to close for them, and it's not Matt Barnes. I don't care what anyone says; it is not Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes is not good. It's a bunch of smoke and mirrors when he is good. The stuff isn't great. I watched him a bunch of times, and I just think he's a joke. And once again, that's compare. I'm no prime athlete no more, but I think as far as MLB baseball players go, that they could do way better. And maybe this young kid Tanner Houck, who kind of fumbled his starting job this year at the beginning of the year, has found a home in the bullpen. He's got the last two saves for the Boston Red Sox on the year. He's got a 3.38 ERA, a 1.17 WHIP, 42 innings and 41 Ks. Now I know this is a guy that, if once again you're playing, you're getting tired of me hearing me say this, but if you're playing fantasy, you heard of him. So there's a reason why saying that. He was a great starting pitcher a couple years ago for Boston, and I think with the good stuff that he has, it can really play up as 1-2 innings in the bullpen, especially if they're giving him save opportunities. 58% owned on Yahoo, so the ownership is a little bit higher than you like to see. But he's out there in some of your leagues, guys. I mean, I think if you're hurting that closer right now, he could possibly be a solution. Not definitely, but he's a name that I definitely am interested in. I might have to throw an ad on him a couple of my leagues too, if I could see if I can make that room. But I definitely Tanner Houck, Boston Red Sox, new closer, definitely interesting.
Yeah, I mean, how could somebody I'd really love to see him finally just get in the rotation and they give him a little bit of a leash. I mean, he's a young dude and he's going to mess up from time to time. But you know what? Maybe this is a way he kind of builds his confidence with the organization, which is good. Maybe this closer then turns into a nice little starter for you. But I mean, hey, I don't know how long his leash is. That's the only thing because they didn't give him a long leash as a starter. I can't see them giving him a long leash as a closer either.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
that's the only downside to Tanner Hawk, but he has all the talent in the world. Let's see if he makes lemonade with it. But
Yeah.
let's talk about this next guy. He is pretty highly owned, but I mean, the only reason we're talking about him is the fact that it's pretty much an atrocity that he's only 65% owned, and that's Ryan Helsley. However, you botched it. I probably botched up his name.
No, I believe you said it correctly. I think you're on fire, so to be honest.
Damn, damn, I should go back to third grade and tell my teacher. Um, but he's been doing good. He got the save this week. In the last 2 weeks, he's only had one save attempt, but I mean, it's I guess to be common. I mean, they're kind of doing like a committee over there right now, I believe, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Let me chime in
Yeah.
with you, my brother. They haven't had a lot of save opportunities, right? And it kind of seems like they want Gallegos in higher like leverage situations. So let's say in the eighth inning that the 3, 4, 5 are coming up. They want Gallegos out there, and they're not afraid to do that, right? And I mean, Helsley just his numbers are so good, and he's been so lights out that why not just throw him in the ninth in those save situations and let Gallegos handle, those heavy duty or eighth innings. And sometimes the eighth inning isn't always that heavy duty. I understand that. But it just kind of seems like that's the way they want to play it at the moment. Once again, they haven't had a lot of save opportunities lately. But Gallegos is somebody who struggles with his control. He has great stuff, but it's kind of like hit or miss. Hence Mr. Alex Reyes as well. He kind of reminds me of him a lot. Great pitcher, just kind of shaky control. But this Helsley kid, man, looks like he's lights out. 27 years old here on the year. He's got a 0.39 ERA in 19 games, 23 innings, 32 strikeouts, over a K per nine. You love to see it, and it's a 0.51 WHIP. I mean, just it looks like he knows like where he wants to throw the baseball, knows how to get guys out. And I think this guy's got a future here, closing for St. Louis, at least even if it's just for this year. I know, as Matt said, he's a little bit higher owned than some of these other guys, but if he's out there at the moment, man, I think he kind of runs away with this job. So we got two more here for you. Let's go with Jason Adam, Tampa Bay Rays. Andrew Kittredge getting that Tommy John surgery, unfortunately. One of my favorite closers. So I hope he gets well. Soon we see him back in a year, maybe year and a half. But it looks like Adams going to get the some of the saves here anyway. They got a couple other guys like Colin Poach and I forget, but they have definitely, and Fire Eisen's out too, by the way. Fire Eisen's on the IL too, so it's not like they have unlimited options anymore. Adam got the last save. He had like the last two holds, I believe, before Kittredge went down again. So, they did have him in the eighth inning beforehand. So he's 33% owned on Yahoo on the year. Jason Adam, he's got the 0.72 ERA, 0.64 WHIP, two saves, 25 innings, 30 Ks. So you love those numbers. Just worth the shot, worth the shot. You never know with Tampa Bay. They might throw some random guy out there in the next save opportunity that none of us have ever heard of. But I mean, he's at least worth the shot to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fair. There's some light, so I'm not just sitting here in the dark looking depressing. So anyway, I just think that he's at least a speculative ad. If he gets the next save, roll with him. If they don't bring him out in that save opportunity, drop him. It's one of those situations at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, once again, that's Jason Adam of the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, we don't really got to say too much more about him. But to wrap it up here, another name that we kind of talked about on this podcast a little bit, but Emilio Pagan, former Tampa Bay Ray with some closer experience. He has the last save for the Minnesota Twins. He's kind of got a little bit of that committee with Johan Duran, but I kind of think that they want to give Pagan more save opportunities than Duran, as Pagan's the experienced guy here, and he's got good numbers on the year. He's got a 2.57 ERA on the year, 1.24 WHIP, 8 saves, 21 innings, 27 Ks. So, out of everybody here, maybe he's a little bit above Jason Adam just because I think he'll get more saves. But, I mean, just that's four good names, guys. If you need a closer, analyze all of these guys and just see who you like the best. I'll read you all full four names once again if you're still hanging around. I'll just do that because we appreciate it at this point. It's Tanner Houck, Boston Red Sox, Ryan Helsley, St. Louis Cardinals, Jason Adam, Tampa Bay Rays, and Emilio Pagan, Minnesota Twins, guys. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up here this Monday for the Fantasy MDs. Just throw it out there once again. You like what you're hearing. You've been riding the wave with us. If we've been helping you at all, just give us a little, subscribe on the YouTube, a couple likes, a rate and review on Apple and Spotify go a long, long way. So until Wednesday, folks, we'll see you.
Peace.